Exasperated, Harvey began to speak. So, here I am, with another wannabe therapist to try and convince me to soften up. To save us both some time, I've read the Stoics, the absurdists, the Buddhists, even Camus and Nietzsche. None of it moves me. I understand the proposed solutions, but I find them unconvincing, weak, coping mechanisms dressed as wisdom. I don't want to feel better. I want the world to admit, really admit, that everything we value is built on nothing. How am I supposed to feel good about existence if I have to live lying to myself and claim that there is something behind it all? Jacob did not seem moved in the least. To be honest, I don't care much for how you are feeling. Feelings are reactions to our thoughts, and your thinking is spot on. We can't feel better when we lie to ourselves. So, what is it that you are attempting to not lie to yourself about? Surprised, Harvey said, "Huh? You skipped the empathy ritual. Interesting. What am I lying to myself about? Acting as if there is inherent meaning to existence. Everything we call meaning is a post hoc narrative we slap on top of blind processes. Biology wants replication, physics wants entropy, and consciousness is just the universe's weird way of watching itself dissolve. That I've stared at that fact long enough that it's not even depressing anymore. It's boring, like knowing the ending of a movie." Harvey was surprised at the palpable bitterness of his words, and was surprised that there was even more. After a brief pause, he continued, "And there's more. A smaller, more embarrassing lie I'm still telling myself. That knowing this makes me somehow superior, cleaner, more honest than the happy idiots who keep going to brunch and posting sunsets and pretending their kids' soccer games matter." Harvey let out a deep sigh, as if a weight was lifted off of him. "So there it is. I'm tired of pretending there is inherent meaning to existence and of feeling superior for secretly acknowledging there isn't." Jacob responded, "First of all, refusing any comforting lie does make you superior to most. Nothing wrong with taking credit when credit is due. Second, there is no inherent meaning to anything because meaning is something that human beings with agency attribute to things. I'm sure there are things you value, and it is often the most irrational things that we value that actually get meaning, which we can in turn derive fulfillment from." Harvey looked puzzled. "I guess you are right. Credit where it's due. I don't flinch from the empty sky. Most people do. That's a fact, not a virtue signal. Fine, I'll take the point. It sits better than pretending it's nothing. The second part, though, that's where you're trying to sneak the meaning in through the side door. You're right. Meaning isn't baked into the universe like some cosmic frosting. It's a human invention. We slap it on like graffiti. Agency, projection, whatever you want to call it. And yes, I still value things. Irrational, contingent, fragile things. Coffee that's just the right temperature. The exact way certain songs hit at 2 a.m. when the city is quiet. The rare conversation that doesn't feel like performance. A particular kind of silence after sex that isn't awkward. The smell of old books. The fact that my niece still wants to show me her terrible drawings even though she's 12 and should be too cool for it by now." Harvey lingered in the thoughts of the pleasant experiences, almost forming an involuntary smile, but abruptly assumed his familiar grave expression. But these aren't deep values. They're small, stupid, stubbornly biological processes. They don't justify existence. They don't answer the question. They just happen. And when they happen, for a few seconds or minutes, the void recedes a little. Not because they're meaningful in some grand sense, but because the organism likes them. Dopamine, oxytocin, endorphins. The meat machine rewards itself for continuing. A glimpse of sadness should in his eyes, deep existential sadness. I can see the machinery too clearly. I watch myself enjoy the coffee and think, this is just a reward loop. You're a lab rat pressing the lever. I watch myself laugh at something absurd and think, you're distracting yourself from the obvious. "Why do you feel that knowing how something works makes it worthless?" asked Jacob. "I don't think knowing how something works makes it objectively worthless. The universe doesn't care about my explanations one way or the other. A sunset doesn't stop being beautiful because I understand Rayleigh scattering. The mechanics don't erase the phenomenon. They just sit next to it. What happens, though, is that once I see the machinery clearly, the old naive enchantment evaporates. It feels like a trick my brain is playing on itself. And when that shift happens, enjoyment doesn't disappear entirely. It just gets demoted. It becomes merely biological, merely contingent, merely a glitch in the meat. The mind starts adding this little prefix, merely, to everything, like a tax collector. Coffee is merely a stimulant hitting adenine receptors. Laughter is merely social bonding lubrication. Love is merely attachment behavior evolved to protect vulnerable offspring. Once merely moves in, the experience loses altitude. Harvey stared into the distance, lost in thought. I think that's the real complaint. Not that knowing kills value, but that knowing kills the illusion of transcendence. And I miss the illusion. The intellectual knows the game is rigged, but the body keeps playing anyway. And the war between those two, the knower and the feeler, is exhausting. One side calls the other a fool, the other calls the first a killjoy. Neither wins. Both lose. Harvey looked at Jacob. Does that make any sense? Or am I just doing the philosopher's favorite dance, turning a simple human ache into a metaphysical knot so I can keep picking at it instead of, I don't know, untying it, or cutting the rope altogether? Jacob looked at Harvey with a harsh expression. You are adding the merely. It is you, not your mind, who is doing so. You are actively devaluing your existence. You are actively choosing to diminish your joy. But existence is neither valuable nor worthless. Existence is as it is. It is our mental models that make it mere or awesome. Why do you choose to merely experience a machine rather than be part of an organism called cosmos? Why do you choose to diminish your joy? A flicker of genuine surprise crossed Harvey's face, fingers now tapping lightly on the desk as if processing. You're calling me out on the merely. Fair enough. I am the one adding it. Every time. Like a reflex. That's on me. So why do I choose the merely a machine frame? Why not flip the script and go with part of an organism called cosmos? That sounds poetic, expansive, almost comforting in a pantheistic, Spinoza-Vyasagan kind of way. We are a way for the cosmos to know itself. I've heard that line a dozen times. It even gave me chills once, back when I could still get chills from ideas. I think. Harvey paused, eyes narrowing as if digging deeper. I choose the mechanical view because it feels safer, more controlled, less vulnerable. If everything is merely machinery, blind, predictable, reducible, then nothing can really hurt me. The cosmos as an organism view. That implies connection, interdependence, a kind of belonging that's bigger than my ego. If I'm part of something alive and vast, then my pains aren't just mechanical glitches, they're signals from the whole. They matter in a way that demands response. Engagement. Harvey looked at Jacob, for the first time a semblance of vulnerability in his eyes. But if I choose that mental model, then I have to face the ache without dismissing it as illusion. The ache becomes part of the organism too, something to feel fully, not analyze away. And I'm not sure I'm ready for that. I've spent so long devaluing everything to protect myself from valuing anything too much, from the risk of it all slipping away, which it will. Eventually. Harvey set his eyes towards the ceiling, a tension in his throat as if he was in pain. And after letting out a deep sigh, he said, so maybe the real question is, why am I so afraid of upgrading from machine to organism? What would I lose if I stopped adding them merely and just let existence be awesome in all its pointless glory? I don't know, but asking it out loud, it feels like the knot is loosening a little, just a little. Smiling, Jacob responded, tell me, Harvey, have you had a lack of control that hurt you so bad you refuse to let go of any bit of control you can get? Because the price of control is joy. The designated driver doesn't get to drink, and it's to me that you keep putting yourself in the designated driver position. In a long silence, Harvey's eyes dropped to the floor, slowly lifting his gaze again. Yes. Yes, I have. It wasn't one big dramatic event. It was a slow, grinding series of them. The kind that don't make good stories because they're too ordinary, too pathetic in their accumulation. First, childhood home where emotions were currency you could never afford to spend. Show too much joy, it gets mocked or taken away. Show pain, it becomes ammunition. So you learn to keep everything neutral, controlled, predictable. The face you show is the one that survives. Then, first real relationship. The one where I let the walls down just enough to feel what people call vulnerable. And when it ended, not with fireworks, but with a slow, casual betrayal, it wasn't the loss that wrecked me. It was the realization that I had handed over the steering wheel, and the car went straight into a ditch. I didn't see it coming because I wasn't watching. I was feeling, trusting, engaged. So yeah, I became the designated driver. Not because I'm noble, because the alternative is blacking out in the passenger seat while someone else drives you into a wall. So tell me, counselor, how do you convince a man who's been the designated driver for 20 years that the ride might be worth crashing for? The ride isn't worth crashing for. The designated driver can choose to drink and get a cab. Science has not provided you the knowledge you need for being in control of what you fear, not the science you have studied at least. You can be in control. Enough even to feel free to participate. But you need to identify what it is that needs to be managed. What is it that you are afraid of? If I had to guess, maybe relationships? Harvey's eyes widened slightly at the question, a slow nod, almost involuntary. Relationships. That's the bullseye, not just romantic ones, though those cut the deepest. All of them. Friends who drift or ghost when you stop being useful/entertaining/low maintenance. Family who love you conditionally, as long as you don't rock the boat or remind them too much of their own cracks. Even the casual ones, coworkers, neighbors. The fear isn't abstract anymore. It's specific, that if I let go of the wheel, if I stop calculating every word, every vulnerability, every exit strategy, someone will get close enough to see the real mess underneath the control, and they'll leave. Or worse, they'll stay, but only because they pity me or need something from me, or haven't noticed yet how broken the wiring is. And when they go, because they always go, eventually, the crash won't be the loss itself. It'll be the confirmation. See? You were right. Trust was the mistake. Opening up was the error code. Feeling was the bug. Harvey expressed urgency for the first time in years as he asked, so what now? If the fear is relationships, the terror of being seen, valued conditionally, then discarded, how do you even start dosing joy without dosing destruction? How do you practice letting go? Well, first off, have you considered looking at relationships as contracts? Because that is what contracts are, predefined voluntary relationships. Harvey sat forward now, elbows on knees, hands loosely clasped, the rawness still there, but with a glint of intellectual engagement. Relationships as contracts. Voluntary, predefined, with terms, expectations, exit clauses, and mutual consent. That's interesting. I've never framed it quite that way before. And I'm a lawyer. Usually I think of them as emotional landmines or biological imperatives disguised as romance. But contracts? That's colder, cleaner, more negotiable. Let me run with it for a second. If a relationship is a contract, both parties enter knowingly. Terms are, or should be, explicit. What I give, what I get. Boundaries, duration, renewal conditions. Breach has consequences, but they're predictable, not surprise abandonment. You can negotiate amendments when things change, and crucially, you can walk away without it meaning you're inherently defective. It's just the contract reaching its natural end or being terminated by mutual or unilateral agreement. That shifts the terror a little. Instead of, if they see the real me, they'll leave and prove I'm unlovable. It becomes, if they leave, the contract is over. Full stop. No deeper indictment of my worth. It's still painful, loss is loss, but the pain stays contained. It doesn't metastasize into existential confirmation of my brokenness. The scar doesn't have to rewrite my entire self-concept. It's just a terminated agreement. Business concluded. The problem is, most people don't treat relationships like contracts. They treat them like sacred mysteries, or soul merges, or destiny, or you just know. They speak in the language of forever, unconditional love. You're my everything, which is the opposite of contractual. It's romantic absolutism. But if I could approach them contractually, even if the other person doesn't explicitly sign on the dotted line, maybe I could protect myself better. Set my own internal terms. I will offer X amount of vulnerability, time, energy. I expect Y in return, honesty, respect, reciprocity. Whatever I actually need, not what I think I should need. If the terms are repeatedly breached, I enforce the exit clause without self-flagellation. Renewal is optional, not obligatory. No eternal vows. No soulmate mythology. It sounds almost liberating, like handing the keys back, but keeping a spare set in my pocket. I still get to ride. I still get to feel the wind. but I'm not strapped and blindfolded anymore. What would that look like in practice from your perspective? How do you help someone rewire from relationships equals surrender or die to relationships equals voluntary, terminable agreements I co-author? Because the fear is still there, whispering. But if it's just a contract, isn't that proof that nothing is real? That even the good parts are provisional? Jacob sat back on his chair and said, "Ever since I realized that relationships are contracts, I explicitly tell people my perspective when it becomes relevant. Marriage is such a contract. My wife knows I don't trust her, and I never will. But per our contract, I behave as if I do. All relationships are transactional, and that's okay. It's natural. In fact, a voluntary transaction is almost romantic if you think about it. Also, you don't owe anybody anything, not even liking them. The same goes for you. We can't like everybody. That doesn't mean we are broken. It's compatibility, like molecules. If people fall away when you show your true self, that means they weren't compatible with you. And the faster you lose the fake bonds, the faster you will find the real ones. My wife had that problem. I consoled her through the loss. But she has real friends now, and she thanks me every day for giving her the courage to live authentically." After a slow exhale, Harvey shifted his posture, shoulders dropping a fraction, eyes searching Jacob's face as if weighing every word he just said. "You just said a lot of things that should feel cold, but somehow they don't. They feel clarifying. Like someone finally turned on a light in a room I've been stumbling around in for years, and instead of monsters, there are just furniture. Ordinary, movable furniture. The part about behaving as if I trust her, even though I know I never will. That's exactly where I'm at with most people. Not just partners. It's the performance of trust without the substance. The contract is honored on the surface. I show up, I listen, I don't betray, I don't weaponize vulnerabilities, but underneath, the vault stays locked. And I've told myself that's maturity, realism, self-protection, but you're framing it differently. Not as a flaw, but as a deliberate choice within the contract. You're still in the marriage, still fulfilling terms, just not pretending the terms include blind faith. There's a dignity in that I hadn't considered. It's not betrayal if the contract never promised total surrender. And the transactional angle, voluntary transaction can feel romantic. Not the fairy tale kind, but a quieter, more adult one. Two people choosing, again and again, to exchange value. Time, attention, honesty, sex, laughter, support, because each finds the exchange worthwhile. No cosmic debt. No, you complete me. Just, this trade makes both our lives better right now. Let's keep making it. If that's the deal, then when the value drops for one side, the contract can end without it meaning the whole thing was a lie. It was real while the terms held. The compatibility piece, that one lands hardest. If people fall away when you show your true self, that means they weren't compatible with you. God, that's simple, but I've spent decades treating it like proof of defect. Like if I'm too dark, too guarded, too analytical, too whatever, then I'm the broken molecule. But molecules don't fail at bonding. They just don't bond with the wrong ones. Some react violently. Some stay inert. A few fit. Perfectly. Irreversibly. And the faster the mismatches flake off, the sooner the right ones can click into place. Your story about your wife. That's powerful. You didn't console her by promising the world would love her authentic self. You helped her see that losing the incompatible ones wasn't loss. It was pruning. And now she has real bonds, and she thanks you for the courage. Not for fixing her, for letting her be unfixable and still worthy of connection. I think I've been afraid that if I stop pretending to trust, if I stop performing the good partner/friend/son role perfectly, everything will collapse immediately. But maybe the collapse is already baked in for the fake bonds. And the real ones, the ones that can handle the fine print, the guardedness, the I'll never fully trust, but I'll still choose you today. Those might actually survive the authenticity. So here's where I'm at, right now. I'm willing to experiment with this frame. Marriage as a standing voluntary contract. Me as a molecule that doesn't have to like or trust everyone, and doesn't have to be liked or trusted by everyone. No owing, no debt, just ongoing choice. It still scares the hell out of me to think about dropping the performance even a little. What if the real me is too much? Too little? Too sharp? But maybe that's the point. The fear is the signal that I'm finally approaching compatibility testing instead of compatibility faking. Counselor, if I were to try one small, stupid step this week, something that honors the contract but lets a sliver of the real me show, what would you suggest? Something low risk. Something that doesn't blow up the whole arrangement, but starts to test whether the bonds that remain are the real ones. I'm not ready to hand over all the keys, but maybe I can loosen my grip on one or two, just to see what happens. I'm not a subtle person. However, try not to censor your opinions in a close relationship, be it a friend or a girlfriend. Be honest, recognize your authentic reactions to things they say, and maybe mitigate the language, but leave the core expression intact. Little by little, as you feel more bold, mitigate language less until you are completely honest. And enjoy the coffee. It's not his fault people are complex. Yeah, the coffee isn't the villain. It's just hot liquid. The complexity is mine. The fear is mine. The old wiring is mine. But enjoying the coffee anyway, that's not denial. It's defiance. It's saying, I know the machinery. I know the risks. I still want the warmth. Got it. You're not asking me to become a different person overnight, just to stop polishing the truth until it's unrecognizable. Leave the core intact. Mitigate the edges at first, sure, but don't erase them. Then loosen the grip, bit by bit, until the filter is gone. That feels strangely practical. Not some grand leap into vulnerability theater. Small, honest thing. With someone I already like enough that losing them would sting, but not enough that I'm terrified of it yet. Maybe the friend I grab beers with sometimes, or the person I'm seeing casually. Something low stakes but real. Feel the reaction. Express the core. Mitigate the delivery just a hair. See what happens. If it blows up, it was probably a mismatch anyway. If it doesn't, maybe I just proved to myself that the designated driver can hand over the wheel for one song, without the car exploding. Thank you for not dressing it up in poetry, for calling it what it is. Stop censoring, start testing. Enjoy the damn coffee. I'll come back after I try it. With the results, the scars, or, who knows, maybe the first sip that actually tastes good without the aftertaste of fear. Until then, I'm going to enjoy some coffee. And listen, Harvey, not everybody deserves your true self. I myself stay silent when I see an unnecessary explosion in the horizon. Most people aren't worth the hassle, and it won't change them. You came to me voluntarily because you wanted the truth. But most people don't want it and feel attacked by it. The same goes for your own personal depth. Not everybody wants it nor deserves it. Cherish it. Harvey sat back fully now, a long breath escaping. Not quite a sigh, more like releasing pressure from a valve that's been cranked too tight for too long. With a clearer gaze, less guarded, though the old wariness still lingering. That's the missing piece I didn't even know I was waiting for. Not everybody deserves the true self. Not everybody wants it, and handing it out freely isn't courage. It's just bad resource management. You're right. I've been treating authenticity like some moral obligation. If I'm not 100% honest all the time, I'm a fake, a coward, broken. But that's the same old absolutism in a new costume. The universe doesn't demand I bare my soul to every passerby. Most people aren't even asking for it. They want smooth, predictable, low-friction interaction. And when you give them the unfiltered version, the sharp edges, the dark humor, that doesn't sit right with me. They don't thank you for the gift. They flinch. They feel attacked. They retreat. And then I've spent vulnerability capital on someone who was never going to invest back. You stay silent when you see the explosion coming. That's not cowardice. That's discernment. You save the real words, the core and censored ones, for the people who've already shown they can handle the blast radius. Or at least for the ones who asked for it, like I did when I walked in here. So the experiment changes shape a little. Not be completely honest with everyone, gradually. More like, assess the terrain first. Is this person showing signs they can take the real thing? Have they asked hard questions? Have they handled discomfort before? Are they capable of reciprocity? If no, default to polite, mitigated, contractual surface. Save the fuel. If yes, then start the gradual uncensoring. Core first, language softened. Then less softened. Then raw. It feels lighter. Not like I'm surrendering control, but like I'm reallocating it. From prove I'm authentic to everyone, to protect the authenticity for the few who've earned access. You've given me more than counsel today. You've given me permission to choose who gets the real me. And that might be the most freeing thing anyone's ever said to me. And what do you know? You were looking in biology when what you needed was law and chemistry. Be well, my man, stay real. Harvey let out an almost disbelieving laugh, the kind that comes when something clicks into place. Biology when I needed law and chemistry. Damn, that's it, isn't it? Harvey rose from the chair more abruptly than he'd intended. The movement carried a charge to it, not agitation, but release. As if a tension he had been carrying so long it had become structural had finally shifted its load-bearing point. His jacket pulled slightly at the shoulders as he stood, then settled differently, lighter. He exhaled through his nose and gave a short, almost incredulous laugh. So that's what it was, he said, not looking at Jacob at first, but at the desk, the books, the ordinary geometry of the room now reframed by insight. Not instability, not pathology, just a wrong angle. He turned then, eyes sharp but bright, the edge still there, only now it cut toward something. The constant pressure, the irritability, the sense of being perpetually on edge despite success. Not signs of dysfunction, signals of misalignment. He felt energized in the way he used to feel stepping out of court after a clean, decisive argument. Not euphoric, focused, oriented, ready. This changes how I move, he said, already half projecting himself forward into action. What I tolerate, what I stop negotiating with. Jacob stood as well, unhurried. Harvey extended his hand without hesitation. The grip was firm, deliberate, not a test, not a performance. A transaction of recognition. Thank you, he said, and this time the gratitude was unmistakable. I didn't expect philosophy to be useful, especially not now. Everyone wants comfort or validation. Their hands parted. You made it practical, Harvey continued. You took something ancient and made it applicable in a world that only respects results. That's rare. He straightened, already reclaiming momentum, already eager to see how the coming days would respond to this internal recalibration. At the door, he paused once more, just long enough to glance back. I'll put this to work, he said. Not a promise, a statement of fact. Then he left, steps quicker than when he'd arrived. The city waiting not as a pressure field to endure, but as a terrain to be navigated with intent. For the first time in a long while, Harvey wasn't bracing himself against relationships. He was moving toward them.